Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. This is a special edition Monday afternoon. It is an age of disclosure, documentary review, and commentary session. It's a live stream. I'm your host, Mike Bara, in Las Vegas, Nevada, former aerospace engineer, Mike Bara, I might point him out, and certified UFO investigator, Mike Bara. Okay, well, welcome to the stream. There's just a few of you here. I'll wait till some notifications go out, but this is not my usual subject, but it is something that is very relevant to my career path, my life path, things that are important to me. Recently, you may have heard of a new documentary called Age of Disclosure, which was created by, what's his name? Paul Farah? I got to get this guy's name right. Just want to make sure. Dan Farah, Danfara, just like Farrah Fawcett. Dan Farah is the creator of Age of Disclosure. I guess he's made some other documentaries before. So this has been touted as a really big deal by the UFO community. People like James Fox, who's also a filmmaker in this arena, have been talking about this for quite a while. We've got previews, which we're going to show you a little bit of on the side there. And basically, let me see if I can do a screen share. I'm hoping I don't get hit with a copyright. Copyright kind of thing by playing the trailer. I love it how YouTube, YouTube likes to hit you for copyright violations for showing videos on their platform, from their platform. I don't get how that works. So anyway, we're here just to do a review of this. I'll take some questions and answers if you have them. But the documentary came out on Friday. It's $25 on, I believe, Amazon Prime is the main platform. And, by all accounts, it is relatively successful. So the question is it any good? Actually, there's four questions. To me, there's four questions that come to mind. Is it any good? Does it break any new ground? Are the testimonials credible? And is it worth the money? So that's what we're going to try to talk about here today. And I notice other people in the UFO community have been talking about that. So where I will start with this is it any good? To be quite honest, no, it's not very good. It goes on too long. It's a bit repetitive. It kind of says the same thing over and over. And it's basically whistleblowers good. We're trying to tell you, find out what's going on with UAP, they call them, unidentified aerial phenomena, which is the new phrase, which is Nick Pope's phrase. Congratulations, Nick, on getting a meme into the vernacular, but they're UFOs, unidentified flying objects. But that scares people because, people, they use UFOs. You're talking about flying saucers. Well, that's what this whole documentary is about. It's about flying saucers. So, and the people involved with, I guess, revealing them to the public. So is it good? No, it's too long. It's repetitive. It's dull at times. What is supposed to give it its gravitas is the presence of various government officials on it, which a lot of people are making a big deal out of. Well, that's a really big deal because government officials have never put their names on the line before, and that's really important. Look, they're paying attention to us. We're somebody now. The New York Times and the Washington Post, as if those sites have any credibility left after the last 8 years, are promoted as being part of this, why this is so important. So the problem that I have with this is the same problem that I have with the entire disclosure movement. I am not on team disclosure. I'm not. People like Steve Bassett, Stephen Greer, to a lesser extent, I guess, Jeremy Corbell, Knapp. Disclosure. I'm not on team disclosure. I'm on team truth. Okay. I don't give a shit what the government tells me UFOs are. I don't care what they tell me aliens are here for. I only want the truth. And the last place I can think of that I'm going to get the truth about UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them, flying saucers, alien beings, angelic beings, interdimensional beings, time travelers, the face on Mars, what's really on the moon, or for that matter, Russia collusion, the Ukraine war, October 7th, the last place, Epstein Island, the last place I'm going to get the truth is from the United States government, from the executive branch, no matter who's in charge, from the intelligence community, from the CIA, from the NSA, from the FBI. They won't even tell us the truth about who tried to kill the president back in July in Butler, Pennsylvania. There's no truth out there. We live in the age of mendacity. It began in 1992 with the presidential campaign there, and it has gotten worse and worse and worse. So government disclosure is literally whatever the current disclosure government lie of the moment is. And as Juan 07, also known as Wayne Williott, once said, the only profound thing I've ever heard him say is in government, the lie is different at every level. So we get lied to over and over and over again. Now, the next step is, does it break any new ground? And the answer is no, it doesn't. There's no truth here. There's nothing new here. As you can see from the videos, the trailer playing in the background, they basically show a bunch of photos and videos that have been seen over and over again in the last 8 years, and most of them debunked, quite honestly, as alien spacecraft. I don't know what they are necessarily, but they're debunked as alien spacecraft. I should know because, guess what? I'm the one who debunked several of them, including this one coming up right here, the Calvine UFO photo, debunked. Okay, that one I don't know. The TTSA video is debunked, and I believe they're going to shoot some USS Omaha stuff here, which I've also debunked. The USS Omaha video is a video of a jet engine of a conventional aircraft flying over the horizon, disappearing over the ocean. The Calvine UFO photo is not a UFO or a UAP or anything else. It's the tip of Farragon Hill, the peak of Farragon Hill, a mountain in Scotland, photographed with a Harrier. That's what that is. So there's nothing new here. It's repeated of the same stories we've been hearing, UFOs, USOs, and that sort of thing. Now, are the people on it credible? Well, the answer is some of them are, and a lot of them are not. Marco Rubio is reasonably credible, depending on if you're a Democrat or Republican, but he is a fairly serious person. He's the Secretary of State. He's done a credible job. He's currently working on a Ukraine peace plan. So I think that gives him some credibility. Anna Paulina Luna, who's in it just a little bit, is credible. She's curious about this. She really wants to solve the mystery. The problem is her and her committee are listening to people like these people that they've had, instead of people who actually know something about the UFO subject. And I can name many, many people, me included, who could serve that committee a whole lot better than they are being served. Tim Burchett is another example of a genuinely curious guy with a brain who knows there's something to this and needs better advisors. And the President Trump, you need better advisors on the UFO subject. And you should be coming to people like me, and maybe even Nick Pope, and certainly Richard Dolan, who know their ass from a hole in the ground. Okay. Most of the people that are on this documentary, including that guy, Christopher Mellon and Lou Elizondo, don't know their ass from a hole. And then you factor in James Clapper and John Brennan, two of the architects of the Russia collusion hoax, which they attempted to use, and the Ukraine hoax, which they attempted to use in a seditious conspiracy to overthrow the U.S. government and bring down the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. That's who's on here. Now, I understand the filmmaker, Mr. Farah, probably wanted to be bipartisan. This really isn't a bipartisan issue. If Clapper and Brennan are involved in it, it's a partisan issue. So that's all there is to it. And Harry Reid, oh yeah, Harry Reid's such a great guy. Well, maybe Bob Bigelow thinks he's a great guy. I personally don't, from the outside looking in. He lied a lot to the American people, an awful lot, and he profited from his office an awful lot, as does everybody in Congress now, except maybe guys like Burchett right there. He's one of the better ones. So then you get into the actual UFO witnesses, and guys like Christopher Mellon are put out there as if they're some sort of experts on aliens or UFOs. He's an intelligence agent. He worked CIA. He worked Defense Department. He's also an executive, a businessman. He's not an aeronautics engineer. He's not a pilot. He's not anybody with an aviation background. So exactly what does he know about what he's looking at when it comes to a video? Well, if he believes any of the videos that are shown here as reference, it's not about specific cases, but if he believes any of what he sees on there as an alien spacecraft, then he doesn't know anything. He's also the guy who did a TTSA video, big presentation, webinar, showing a picture behind him of a UFO, which turned out to be a Mylar balloon for a children's birthday. It was a #1 Mylar silvery looking balloon. That's how credible Christopher Mellon is. He's a joke. You want to get into bigger jokes? Let's talk about Luis Elizondo. First of all, Luis, if you're going to be on 60 Minutes, don't wear a high collar because you got no neck. That's better look right there. That's the look. You want to go with the look. Speaking as a guy with no neck, you got to go with the shirt. You got to go with the collarless shirt. Elizondo has been caught in a whole bunch of deceptions, or at least dumb fuckery. He tried to pass off a reflection of a chandelier in his hotel room as a UFO in a picture. He tried to pass off a picture of an agriculture circle as a UFO casting a shadow in a shot taken from an airplane. He tried to pass off that he worked at ATIP and all this stuff, and the Pentagon says he didn't. So I don't know what's true or not. And then he's not a credible witness. Hal Puthoff is a scientist. He's a relatively experienced guy. That guy right there, Hal Puthoff. He's been involved in a lot of this stuff. Does he have credibility? Sort of. There's things about physics that he talks about. There's a lot of discussion of the laws of physics. I don't think most of the people in this documentary have a clue what the laws of physics actually are, and all of the different experiments that have not disproven them, but gone around them. A lot of these concepts of technology are easy to understand if you have somebody who thinks outside the box. So Hal Puthoff's a smart guy, doesn't think outside the box enough. He's credible. Elizondo's not credible. Mellon is a joke. So these guys, so the people they're taking their advice from on this committee are all the wrong guys. Now, there are other people in here. David Fravor, pilot. Oh, I saw a fleet of Tic Tacs, and they went from 12,000 feet to 80,000 feet in 2.5 seconds. That acceleration would kill a human being according to the laws of physics. Not entirely wrong. But the guys that are in here telling their stories, they have no proof. They have no evidence, much less proof, of any of their claims. Do I think David Fravor is lying? Oh, Christian Gillibrand. Oh, she's great. Isn't she the one who went to Ukraine like 37 times and laundered a bunch of money through Ukraine for the Ukraine war? Yeah, another real credible source there. I may have her mixed up with Amy Klobuchar. Possible. But she's a total partisan. So you have these people that are making these statements like Fravor. Okay, I don't believe he's lying. But I have to say, you have no evidence of your claim. There is no video that's been released of these so-called Tic Tac craft, which turns out may have been a tech that we've been developing for some time, actually doing any of this stuff. If there's, oh God, the Calvine UFO video. It's the peak of Farragon Hill in Scotland. I have the weather report. Trust me, I have the fucking weather report. So the problem is that stories are stories. They don't amount to shiz. They're nothing without video evidence. And the video evidence that we do have, for the most part, from TTSA and from USS Omaha, from Corbell, is debunkable. Calvine UFO photo is totally debunkable. Been debunked. I did it. It's debunkable. So you can tell stories all day long, but then all you're doing is telling a story. That is not evidence of anything. Now, the claim that extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof, that is not a scientific axiom. That is a t-shirt slogan. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. No, they don't. They require the same standard of proof as everybody else. Anything else, any other claim. If I claim the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, I can prove that. I've got evidence for that. But the claims of aliens, UFOs, the face on Mars, the reality of ruins on the moon and Mars, and maybe even other places in the solar system, I can show you pictures. And I can back up what they are, because I'm a structural engineer and I know structure when I see it. So they don't have the right people. They don't have credible people. A lot of the people are not credible. My favorite is Elizondo, complaining about, oh, they went after me. The Pentagon went after me. I'm an outsider. This is an intelligence agent, an army counterintelligence grunt. Counterintelligence is lying. Your whole purpose is to deceive the enemy. Who's the enemy in this particular project, Lou? The American people, Congress, or your old bosses at the Pentagon? How do we know he's not still working for them? We don't. But my favorite part is when he's, by the way, the Tic Tac zipping off the screen, it doesn't zip off the screen. The camera just zooms up 2 times to a 2-time zoom and loses the lock. That's all that is. It's not zooming away or anything. So there's so many mistakes, at least in the videos that were shown. They didn't do a deep dive on video analysis, so we can't really talk about that. Talk about it. Elizondo complains about how, oh, they've gone after me and tried to ruin me by what? Telling the truth about your official record? If those things that they've said about Elizondo are untrue, then let's see some stuff. Bob Lazar at least had a paycheck. He had a paycheck from Area 51 showing that he worked there. I don't know what Lou's put out. I don't follow that. It's not a personal thing. But I hear Elizondo complaining about how they've gone after him. Okay, since he came out in 2017, and I couldn't believe it in Manchester, I actually heard Nick go, I think he's the most important witness in UFO history. I'm like, you're kidding, right? Love Nick. Love to drink with him. Disagree with him about a few things. I don't think Lou Elizondo is an important witness, and I don't think he suffered. As soon as these TTSA videos came out, he got 2 seasons of a show on History Channel, probably making $5-10 grand an episode. Then he got a book deal. I don't know how much he made off that. But then when I was in Roswell speaking in 2023, he was there. And of course, he wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't talk to me. Wouldn't come near me, pretended like he didn't know me. Why? Because I'm going to nail his feet to the floor with the truth. Because that's what I do. He could probably beat me up. I mean, he is an Army guy. But I know for a fact he made 30 grand. I don't know for a fact. I was told he got paid 30 grand. He demanded 30 grand for that appearance. So every time you see him speak at some sort of conference or something, he's probably making 25 or 30 grand. My heart bleeds for how tough your life is since you went public. The fact is, his life hasn't been tough. He's all over the place. He's on all the media. He's had a book deal. He's had a TV show, and he does really well on the lecture circuit. So that's bullshit. He's not being persecuted by the U.S. government. So what you begin to see here is a pattern where you have a bunch of inside intelligence guys like Mellon, like Elizondo, like David Grush, who has apparently some fairly serious personal problems, including psychological problems that he's been treated for. These are the guys being pushed out, and they're pushing the narrative. And the narrative, if you watch this consistently, the narrative is these guys are a threat. We've got to take this seriously. Well, maybe they are. Maybe some of the aliens are. Maybe some of the aliens aren't. I don't know. But I know what we're not going to get from the people that are on stage right now is the truth. Few of these guys are credible. Probably you're telling the truth. Not all of them. Quite a few of them are not. And the ones that are the biggest, being pushed by the media the biggest, are the ones with, in my opinion, the least credibility. So we have a situation where the wrong people are the spokesman. The wrong people are feeding information to the committee, and the government investigation by Tim Burchett and Paulina Luna and other Congress people who may care, maybe Marco Rubio, who actually may care about the truth. We're not going to get the truth. We're going to get an intelligence community narrative. That's what we're getting. Now, do we have crash retrieval programs? Yes. Have we recovered alien bodies? Yes, asked Jackie Gleason. But why are these people being pushed? Where's the testimony of Clifford Stone, who was actually on the crash retrieval teams and has spoken about it at length for 10 or 20 years before he passed away, about his experiences? Why isn't his testimony being entered into the congressional record? What about Robert O'Dean, Command Sergeant Major Robert O'Dean, who worked at NATO headquarters in Brussels? And one night, his commanding officer threw him some keys, told him to go open a safe and pull a book out of there. 2-foot-tall book called The Assessment, which dictated the entire known history of human interaction with aliens. And he was able to read through it. Sounds like the same book that Bob Lazar was given to read. Where's that document? Mr. President, you want to make a difference here? Let's declassify that document. Go find that document and declassify it. Go find Thomas Barron's 500-page document on the Apollo 1 fire and declassify it. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be declassified. And stop relying on these government agencies and expecting anything out of government disclosure. Disclosure is not what we need. Disclosure is not going to tell us anything except whatever the current lie is. And the lie at our level, remember, the lie is different at every level. The only thing that's going to shift this into something approaching the truth is if we demand truth, not disclosure. Just give us all the documents. We'll find the truth. Every U.S. government document from the month of July, let's say June and July of 1947, every single one should be immediately declassified. Every single one. Because there's Roswell stuff in there still. They say they've disclosed everything. They are lying. I have my own ideas on what Roswell might have been, but the reality is we'll never know unless they disclose all of it by declassifying those documents. You can start there. Start there, Mr. President. So, the last question, is it worth the money? $25. No, it's not. It's the same old thing. You could watch other people's documentaries. You could watch James Fox's documentaries. They're not accurate either, but they'll tell you the same information. I think they're mostly free or a lot less money. So is it good? No, it's boring. Does it break new ground? No, not at all. Nothing new. Are the people telling the stories credible? 50-50. Half of them, yes. Half of them, no. Well, maybe more like 75%. No, they're not credible. In fact, some of them are a joke. Is it worth the money? The answer is no. So I cannot recommend this. And I don't mean to be too harsh to Mr. Farah, because I suspect he wanted to do a good job, but he's basically, he's working with it's a limited hangout. He's working with a very limited subset of this truth. I can show you, and I have shown you on different programs, videos of powered spacecraft in low Earth orbit doing things that defy the laws of physics. And I'm talking about the real laws of physics, not the ones that they teach you in school. STS-48, STS-80, those are proof of flying saucer technology. There's statements on it, we don't have anything like that. I've shown you again in my book, Hidden Agenda and Dark Mission and Ancient Aliens and JFK, I've shown you that we probably most likely had anti-gravity flying saucer technology in 1960 and have been developing it ever since. T. Townsend Brown met with U.S. Naval Intelligence, gave them a document called How to Make an American Flying Saucer based on his experiments with electrifying, yes, you guessed it, disc-shaped, multi-layered metallic objects and how they were able to counteract the effects of gravity. The Germans worked on the Nazi Bell, which probably found its way to America after the war. So I can show you better evidence, but where is the testimony of Clifford Stone? Why is that not in the record? Why do we not have a hearing debating that? Where's the testimony of Robert O'Dean, who worked at NATO headquarters in Brussels, telling you everything he knows and what he read in the assessment? For that matter, where's Whitley Strieber? Where are the people who have had personal, direct encounters with these alien beings? And I'm going to call them aliens because that non-human intelligence is much crap. Strieber should be up there. I don't agree with Whitley on everything. I've hung out with him for 2 or 3 days in Manchester. I don't agree with him on everything. But he's had real experiences. He has. He isn't making it up. And he should be testifying in front of this committee. So should I. So should have Tom Bearden. So should Richard Hoagland. Talking about NASA's duplicitous behavior over the decades. The people who are up there are not the people who should be advising this committee. So what I will say about this is that I find this documentary extremely discouraging. Does it push the ball forward at all? No. In fact, I think it keeps it in a nice contained little box. And nobody on this committee has the balls to break out of the box. Where's Tom Reed? Tom Reed's got one of the best documented cases of abduction in human history. Why isn't Tom testifying in front of this committee? How about Travis Walton? Travis Walton has a very solid case. We can discuss the pros and cons. We can say, well, this makes me suspicious about Travis. Okay, Travis, what's your answer for that? That's how we get to the truth, is with open discussion. And for that matter, my pet thing, let's talk about the fact that JFK was killed because he was going to go to the moon with the Russians in concert. He had reached an agreement with them on November 12th, 1963, and there is ancient alien leftover technology on the moon, which the purpose of Apollo under President Kennedy, not under Johnson, but under Kennedy, was to go to the moon and retrieve that alien technology, that ancient alien technology, and bring it back here and reverse engineer it. And that was competition for the non-government agencies led by Alan Dulles, who on November 12th, when they read those memos, said, this guy has to go. 10 days later, they shot him dead in Dallas. Okay, that's my review. Let's see if we have any quick questions. Hi. I look nice, by the way. Well, I try. Glad you're laid down the truth earlier today. Do my best. I'm wearing my sports jacket. Well, it's kind of hot here, too. Hey, new Stargate's been announced. Is this a new disclosure event? Well, Star Trek, Star Wars, all that stuff is there. Some people think there's 12 Stargates on this planet. I think we'll leave that to William Henry. It was long and repetitive, but it's worth watching. Well, here's the thing: if you don't know about this stuff, the UFO subject, it is worth watching because it gives you a broad, if very inaccurate overview. But if you're aware of UFOs and study the subject, it's not worth your time. Yes, it's dull. Most of it's dull, but still, they told the regular people, yeah, that could be. I just want the truth. Why put those guys in it? Yeah, Clapper and Brennan. If you want people to trust your documentary, you just lost half the country when you put them in there. Yeah, they're not off the earth. Just for the normies, got to start somewhere. Well, you know what? Let's make some better documentaries. Sugar's Mama, thank you for the $5 super chat. I'd like to produce my own documentary, starting with Kennedy and going from there, but it's a matter of resources. So save your money, watch a Joe Rogan interview. He said more on it than on the movie. That's probably a good idea too. And finally, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Yes. Okay. Thanks, guys, for being here. I appreciate you watching. I would appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, Rumble Rant, and Super Chat. And that would be great. And I will see you back here on Real News Live with Mike and Jen on Rumble, and Mike Bara 333 on YouTube, and Mike Bara 333 on Twitter, X. Tomorrow, we'll be doing the football show in the afternoon, followed by Toxically Masculine Tuesday, where we're going to talk about what the Trump administration is and is not doing to follow up on their agenda. Thank you for being here. Appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.